Hi, welcome to this video where I'm going to walk you through the steps involved in deploying an ADK agent on Cloud Run. So Cloud Run is serverless managed service available from Google. So when we build an agent, we have multiple choices for deploying the agent. And one of the top choices is Cloud Run. So here we have an agent that's called weather time, and it essentially displays the current time and weather conditions in New York. So when I ask what's the time right now in New York, it uses a function, it uses a tool and comes back with that. So we can explore this here. When you look at the function call, you can see that it is basically invoking an internal function. So it's a simple agent with two tools. The next tool is the weather. How is the weather in New York? It comes back with the get weather tool by invoking get weather tool and has the response. So that is the agent. Now let's take a look at the code behind this. We have the root agent and we call this as the weather time agent based on model Gemini 2.5 Flash, and it has two tools registered. So the first one is get weather, and this is a dummy function which accepts only New York as the input and always returns 25 degrees Celsius as the weather condition. And the next function is get current time, and this is also restricted to New York. It always returns the time, the current time in New York. So this is basically the simple agent that we have built with two tools, and we have just seen how that works. Now our goal is to take this agent and deploy it on Cloud Run. So let me show you the steps involved in that. First one, we have to create a secret. We have to create a secret, and this secret is basically responsible for providing the agent access to the Google API key. Once we create the secret, we will create an IAM policy binding enabling the compute service account, which is also responsible for Cloud Run, to make sure that the service can access the secret. So we are creating the role binding here, IAM policy binding, where the member is the service account associated with Cloud Run and the secret accessor is the role. That means the service running within Cloud Run will be able to access the secret that we just registered here. And then I go ahead and set up some environment variables, and finally we will invoke this command, which is ADK deploy Cloud Run. ADK deploy Cloud Run is a very powerful tool that takes the local agent, packages that as a container and deploys to Cloud Run managed service. So let's get started with these steps. We will switch to the console and let's stop ADK web that's currently running. And we are now going to execute the steps that I have just shown. The first step is to create a secret. So creating a secret will basically put the API key into Google Cloud environment and provides a secure access to it. Once we are done with that, the next step is, as I showed earlier, is to create an IAM policy binding. Let's run this step as well. Now this will enable Cloud Run to seamlessly access the secret service. So once that is done, we will go ahead and initialize some environment variables. Sorry, let me get the right snippet. Okay. So I set my Google Cloud project, cloud location, agent path, which is local agent path called as weather time, the service name and the app name. So we will run this and that initializes all the environment variables. Now we are going to invoke the final step, which is ADK deploy Cloud Run, and all the environment variables are used in this command. Notice that I'm using with UI, which means this will enable the deployment to have the dev UI that normally comes with ADK web. So with UI is a very important parameter to make sure that we are enabling the cloud service, the Cloud Run service with UI. So let's go ahead and run this. Now this is going to take anywhere between 5 to 8 minutes. But I want to walk you through the steps while it is still building. First, it takes the agent source code and converts that into a Docker file. It's also asking whether we want unauthenticated access to WeatherTime Cloud Run service. Because we are doing a demo and we don't need to worry about security, I will say yes. But in production, you have to make sure you configure Google Cloud Auth, create the service account key, and then use that to securely access the service. But for now, it's okay for us to access this with no authentication scheme. Once that is done, it goes ahead and deploys the service. You'll see that it is basically uploading the image, which it built locally. It built the container and it is creating the repo in Google Cloud artifact registry. And then it is going to create a revision, and eventually our service will show up here in Cloud Run. So currently this is getting created, and as soon as the image is built and when the Cloud Run service gets deployed, it shows up here. So let's give this a few minutes and we'll come back and refresh this page to see if the service has been deployed successfully. All right, so now the service has been deployed successfully. We can see that all the steps now have a tick mark indicating that it's been successful. And then the service URL is showing here. We'll come back to it, but let's first take a look at the Cloud console. Now, WeatherTime is deployed and there is a green tick mark which says the service is healthy and serving traffic. Now, what we can do is we can grab the URL that shows up here. So I'm going to copy this URL and access the UI. So now we are accessing the agent that's running on GCP as a service within the Cloud Run environment. So let's try exactly the same prompts that we tested earlier, and that shows us, in fact, the code is working. So let me come back to this. What's the time in New York? And it's actually much faster. And if you look at the events and click on this, it shows it is indeed invoking the functions. So similarly, if I say what's the weather in New York, it invokes the other function and it shows that here. So now it's invoking get weather. So this is basically an indication that the service has been successfully deployed and we are able to access that. And if you look at the URL, it is WeatherTime followed by a unique ID, uscentral1.run.app. Now this is an indication that the service is running in the cloud. So that's basically the demo involving the steps that are required to package a local agent, an ADK agent, and deploying that on Cloud Run. So I hope you found this useful. The code for this, both the agent and the steps involved in deploying the agent, will be available on GitHub. The link will be in the description. Do check it out. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to my channel for upcoming videos on ADK and Gemini.